Even though Mark Hall is at the top of the weight class, and a lot of people look at him to be the runaway favorite at 174, I think there's actually a pretty decent amount of depth at the weight class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the entire bracket and make my picks as I go through it. So we'll start off with Mark Hall versus the winner of the pigtail match. And I'm going to pick Mark Hall to win that match. No real surprise there. I just don't think outside of 65, the pigtail match is just there isn't anyone who I think has anything to offer the top seeds. And the reason why 65 is different is because they had a guy who was ranked at 174 who moved down to 65 and had a bad conference tournament. But then we have Richards and Womack. I will take Womack to win this match. Skatska and Lorenzo Della Riva. Skatska look pretty good at the Big Tens, but I'm actually going to pick the upset here and pick Della Riva to win. In the next match, we have Hastings and Luan. Let me just cross that out a little more. I'll take Taylor Luan to win that match. And so in our round of 16, we'll have Mark Hall versus Womack. I'll take Mark Hall. And then De La Riva versus Luan. These guys have gone against each other before, and it was this season, and Luan won by a score of 17-5. So I will pick Luan to win this match pretty dominantly as well. So that gives us Mark Hall versus Taylor Luan in the quarterfinals. These guys have gone against each other just once before. It was in the NCAAs last year, and Mark Hall won by a score of 6-2. So I will pick him to win that match as well over the 8 seed Taylor Luan. So that is the top quarter right here. All right, then the bottom quarter of the top half, we have Cutler versus Oliver. I will take Cutler to win that match. We have Coleman versus Fine-Silver. I'm going to pick Fine-Silver. Got Wilson versus Carey. I'll take Wilson. And then Joe Grello versus Miles Amin, and I will take Miles Amin. So then between Cutler and Fine-Silver, these guys do not have a history with each other, so no matches between the two of them, but I will take Cutler to win that match. And then Wilson and Amin, another match where the two don't have any history together, but I will take Miles Amin to win that match. So then we have Cutler versus Amin in the quarterfinals. These two have gone against each other before. Both of them have beaten each other before. Miles Amin is up 2-1 this season, or 2-1 in total of the 3 matches. And the one match they had this season, Amin won by a score of 6-4. So I'm going to pick Miles Amin to get the win here. So instead of Cutler being able to even it up, I will pick Amin to go up 3-1 in their little personal series. And so on the top half, we have Mark Hall and Miles Amin. So let's get to the bottom half of the draw now. So in the third quarter, the top seed of that quarter is Zahid Valencia as the number 3 seed. I'm picking him to win over Sherry. I'm picking Ethan Smith to pull a minor upset over Bastian. Between Leidy and Harvey, I'm going to take Leidy. And then I will pick David McFadden over DePrez, although that's a bit of a dangerous matchup for McFadden in the first round. Then between Valencia and Smith, I'll take Valencia. And then between Leidy and McFadden, no previous matches between the two of them, but I'll take McFadden. All right. And then in the quarterfinals, it'll be Zahid Valencia versus David McFadden. These guys have not gone against each other in the past, but I will pick Zahid Valencia to get the win here. So Zahid Valencia advances with Hall and Amin, and now to the final quarter. We have Jacob Smith versus Drew Hughes. I will pick Jacob Smith to win that match. Daniel Bullard versus Mikey Labriola. Bullard's a guy who I think with a better draw could have potentially made some noise here, but Labriola is just a bad matchup for him. These guys have gone against each other in the past, and Labriola majored him, so I will pick Labriola to win this match as well. Christensen and Morgan. I'm going to take Morgan. And then I'll take Daniel Lewis over Stefanik. So then between Jacob Smith and Michael Labriola, these guys actually have gone against each other in the past. Labriola won this season by a score of 7-6, so a very close match. It can go either way. There's reason to think Smith is going to get him back, but I'm actually going to pick Mikey Labriola to go 2-0 against Jacob Smith here and advance to the quarterfinals. And that leaves Morgan and Lewis, and I will pick Lewis. These guys haven't gone before, but Lewis has had a fantastic season this year, just one loss. and I don't figure him losing that quickly in the tournament. So then we would have Lewis versus Labriola in the quarterfinals. These guys have not gone against each other in the past, and I will pick Daniel Lewis to advance. So that means our semifinals are going to be Mark Hall versus Miles Amin, and Zahid Valencia versus Daniel Lewis. So with Hall and Amin, this is a match that we've actually had a bunch. There have been 4 different matches between the two of them. All of them have been 1-point matches, but all of them have gone to Mark Hall, including the Big Ten tournament where Mark Hall won by a score of 3-2. I think Mark Hall won another close match here and advanced to the finals again. On the bottom half of the draw, we have Zahid Valencia versus Daniel Lewis. This is a match that we had at the duel this year, and surprisingly, Daniel Lewis didn't just win, but he won by pin. And Zahid, as funny as it is, Zahid's a returning national champion right now, and a lot of people, they look at Spencer Lee as a guy who was a returning national champion who a lot of people expected to win the title this year, and just haven't looked as sharp as was expected. And with Spencer Lee getting a lot of attention for that, Zahid Valencia has kind of gone under the radar as a guy who hasn't performed as well as expected. And with Daniel Lewis, he's actually a guy who's performed a lot better than expected. And I actually think Daniel Lewis, though he may not win by pin in the second time these two go against each other, I actually think Daniel Lewis is going to get the win here. And so we will have a final between Daniel Lewis and Mark Hall. Mark Hall has beaten Daniel Lewis before. He pinned Daniel Lewis in the NCAAs last year. But I've really liked what I've seen from Daniel Lewis this year. I think, even though sometimes it's kind of hard to tell with Missouri because their schedule isn't as strong as, say, a Big Ten school, what I've seen from Lewis, though he has lost to, I mean, what I have seen from him has been pretty impressive. The win over Valencia means a lot to me, and I actually think he's going to pull the upside here and knock off Mark Hall in his undefeated season in the national championship finals.